This man wants a ban on the Quran and to shut down all mosques, and he could be about to lead the Netherlands. He's been called the king of Islamophobia by critics, but far-right Geert Wilders won the most votes in the Dutch general election and immediately promised to cut immigration and what he called the asylum tsunami. He's anti-Islam and he's anti-migration, and it's a complete shift to the right for the country. His election pledges also included plans for Dexit, a referendum on the Netherlands leaving the EU. But it's his comments on Islam that have been the most controversial, saying he wants a de-Islamization of the Netherlands and no mosques and no Islamic schools in the country. In 2009, he was even banned from coming to the UK because his opinions threatened community harmony and public safety. However, he needs to form a coalition to take power, so he might have to tone that down if he wants to do a deal. A left-wing Labour and Green alliance came second in the polls, so he may have to turn to them. Quick off the mark to congratulate him was Hungary's right-wing PM Viktor Orban, posting this, saying, "The winds of change are here."
Okay, so let's go through everything we heard line by line and try to respond to it, okay? So, again, I'm anti-Islam as well, but I don't think banning books is the right way. I think it will actually have the opposite effect. But let's go through this line by line. Again, I am extremely pro free speech. How could you ban a book? Right? So the way why this is a red flag for me is I think that if you violate the values and the principles that made your country such a great country. Like, why did so many of Western countries become great countries? It's because they abided by certain principles that just works. One of them is secularism. One of them is representative democracy. One of them is free speech. And one of them is the separation of powers. All of these came from Western philosophers in Western Europe during the Age of Enlightenment, right? And these ideas just work. So if you are trying to destroy Islam by violating these principles that made your country as great as they are you actually defeating Islam, or is Islam defeating you? I think, like, actually in that case, Islam is defeating you, because if Islam manages to make you change these principles, then it's Islam that has defeated you, and Islam is not going to go away by just a ban. I mean, how could you ban the Quran? It's on the internet. Yeah, can you tell me, guys, how could you ban the Quran? It's on the internet. I mean, you could go download HBO, like Game of Thrones, for free if you know where to look. Again, YouTube, I'm not promoting that. I'm just saying I'm sure people know they can. So given that big files and games, people get games, like, how could you, like, what are you going to do? Like, there's free apps of the Quran on Google Play. How are you going to remove all of that? It's just text. It's such a small file. How are you going to stop it from spreading it? I don't understand. People keep saying, like, ban the Quran. Can you tell me how could you remove the Quran from the internet? What? Tell me. How are you going to do that? Isn't that the biggest promotion of the Quran? Like, if you ban the Quran, first of all, anybody who wants the Quran will be able to get access to it. Two, that would be the biggest promotion of Quran since Muhammad. Or like, oh, let's go read banned books. Like, if you put the Quran in the banned books category, that would make it a lot more interesting. That would make it, I mean, I think actually to fight Islam, you should tell people to read the Quran. It should be the opposite. If you want to fight Quran and fight Islam, not only you shouldn't be banning the Quran, you should be having classes where people teach the Quran. The more people read the Quran, the more they understand what a vile, disgusting, barbaric book it is. Why ban it? Isn't the best way to get people out of Islam, and the best way to get people to be scared of Islam, rightfully so, is to just read the Quran to see what a horrific book it is? All right, let's actually go line by line through this.
This man wants a ban on the Quran and to shut down all mosques, and he could.
Okay, what about the shut down all mosques thing? Right. So, if you, what is the issue with mosques? Like, what is the threat? Is the reason why it's a threat is because it's where people gather to discuss ideas that are harmful to society. Okay, I understand that, but what would you do if you shut down mosques? Are people not going to be able to gather and share those ideas in their homes or in other, in the community center or everywhere else? What are you going to do? Are you going to turn it into a police state where you're going to go hunt them down and make sure they're not having improper discussions? Because if you shut down the mosques, now you're going to just drive it underground. The same conversations are going to be just made happen in people going to turn their homes into places where they are gathering. They're what are you going to do? Are you going to just turn this into an Orwellian state where the state is coming into your home and asking what are you guys discussing? Is that the plan? Because now you just made it go underground, and now you're not even going to see the horrible conversations that people are having, the dangerous conversations and the promotion of bad ideas that people are having. You're not even going to be aware of it. It's going to spread even more. So I don't know why you want to shut down mosques. At least make sure that we see it so that we could tackle it. At least the mosque will provide us a place where we could go and tell people, like, how about this? How about keep the mosques open, but make it required legal that everybody should be able to enter it. Like, even if you are a non-Muslim, you should be able to enter a mosque and have discussion there with people. As long as you're not harassing somebody, you should be able to go inside it. So at least the mosque will become a battleground for bad ideas versus good ideas. How about that? Like people keep saying this. Islam should be illegal in the Europe. Like, what do you mean? How could you make Islam illegal? Like, tell me. Like, people keep saying that it's impossible, and it is not. Even if it was possible, it wouldn't work. That's not the way to fight Islam. There are better ways. I don't understand. Oh yeah, so look at this. Foster saying ban proselytizing advertising of Islam on the streets. So how, like, that's a violation of free speech. So what, the police is going to be like, oh, what are you talking? You're having the wrong type of discussion. You're arrested. So the promotion of Islam. So you want to make a certain type of speech illegal. Do you know that you have been defeated by Islam if you violate your free speech law? All the other, so you know why Europe is better than the rest of the many other countries on the planet? You know why North America and Europe and Japan and South Korea and Taiwan are better? Because of the rights and freedoms that you have, that everything else is founded upon. And the most important right that all these other principles are founded upon is the freedom of expression. So you want to involve the state into telling people what they can and cannot say? Do you know what a violation of freedom of expression that is? If you do that, you might feel like you have defeated Islam, but Islam has defeated you. Okay. I don't understand. And that's how would that even be possible? Like, what are you going to do? Like, the police is going to be like, oh, you're having a wrong type of conversation. You're arrested. You're just going to drive that underground, and it's just going to spread even more. Yeah, people are saying free speech shouldn't be limitless. Yes, it shouldn't be limitless. The limits are a direct incitement of violence, okay, on somebody, for example. But you cannot but the limit cannot be certain ideas, the government having the authority that certain ideas are wrong and therefore should not be discussed. That you are now creating a bigger monster. So now you have one monster that is not the state. In an attempt to destroy that monster, you're turning the state, you're giving the state the authority to monitor and control speech. Now you have created a bigger monster than this monster that you wanted to fight, and that monster is not going to go away anyway. Like if you try to ban speech about Islam, Islam will grow. Islam grows on victimization. Islam will spread faster if you try to ban it. And now you haven't been able to fight Islam, but you also made the state into another problem as well. So now you have two evils. Now you have to fight Islam and the state at the same time, a state that now has a control to decide what speech it wants to ban. And you never know if it's your speech is not going to be next. Once you give that key, once you give that power to the state, there is no stopping it anymore. It could be your speech. You think that you're going to be able to like get away from that state that now has the control over what speech it decides to ban and not to ban? Anyways, but let me actually go through line by line through what this man has to say. Again, I love his anti-Islamic attitude. He's right about Islam. Islam is horrible. I just don't know if this is the way. I don't think so, but you guys tell me. Look at this. Like, you're telling me things that I already know. Like, Uncle is saying, it's not about being defeated, Armin. Well, it's not, but you will be. If you give up your free speech and other liberal values, you will be defeated by Islam. Islam has managed to scare you enough. You should be scared, but this is not the right response. You will be defeated. If you give up the principles that made your country such a great country, you will be defeated. So like, oh, it's not about being defeated. Well, you might not want it to be about that, but it will be about that. And then it says you are dealing with people who would do everything to spread their awful ideas. Oh, really? You're telling me? Well, great. Thank you. I'm so informed. Go look at my past 15 years of activism. It was about dealing with the exact type of people that you're mentioning here. This is new. Apparently, this is new information on this channel. And then it says, so we can't pretend to be naive, but these ideas are totally dangerous. Oh, really? You don't say Islam is dangerous? Did I not start this conversation by agreeing how dangerous Islam is? You're the ones who are being naive that you think that you could ban Islam and stop it from spreading. It's like Islam is like a virus. You cannot be like, hey, we don't like this virus. No, dear virus, you are not allowed to spread anymore. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not going to spread anymore. Thank you for making this illegal. I'm not going to like, what are you talking about? It's going to spread more. You guys you don't know how the spread of ideas work. Do you understand this would be a promotion of Islam? Do you know that Islam also works on victimization? Do you know you can't ban ideas? Have you guys studied history and see what other people who try to ban ideas? Have you seen the outcome of that? Do you know it backfires every single time? You know, somebody says Islam incites violence. Yes, but you cannot ban a general idea of promotion of violence. That's why I said a direct incitement on violence. So, for example, if somebody says that, I don't know, somebody like me, infidels, it would be, according to my religion, killing an infidel like Armin, it will get you reward in paradise. That is something that a government cannot ban. But if somebody says, hey, kill Armin, that's the only red line. You know, this is like the US. That's the only red line where the government can get involved in. Again, I'm not going to, I already made my point. You guys are just repeating yourself. But anyway, let me go through this video and see what he has to say.
This man wants a ban on the Quran.
Yeah, somebody like, oh, Islam wants to fight, so should we. Oh, really? I'm saying we should fight Islam. I'm just questioning the method. I'm on your side when it comes to fighting Islam.
And to shut down all mosques, and he could be about to lead the Netherlands. He's been called the king of Islamophobia by critics, but far-right Geert Wilders won the most votes in the Dutch general election and immediately promised to cut immigration and what he called the asylum tsunami. He's anti-Islam.
Yeah, so cut immigration from Islamic countries, that's totally obviously should happen, okay? That is 100%, zero immigration from Islamic countries immediately. That completely agree with.
And he's anti-migration, and it's a complete shift to the right for the country. His election pledges also included plans for Dexit, a referendum on the Netherlands leaving the EU. But it's his comments on Islam that have been the most controversial, saying he wants a de-Islamization of the Netherlands.
Yeah, de-Islamization of the Netherlands, completely agree with him. The method, how are you going to do it? I have my suggestion. Somebody asked about, and then what's the solution? I will give you, I will let you know what I think is the solution, but let's continue.
No mosques and no Islamic schools in the country.
Yeah, no, okay, so banning the Quran, I don't think that is achievable. No mosques, I don't think that is achievable. And also no banning the Quran and no mosques violates Netherlands constitution, right? So how are you going to even do that if it violates your own constitution? Okay, but banning religious schools, that's, I agree with that, okay? Is, you know, that is a violation of children's right. I think that you should make it illegal to teach children religious propaganda, okay? If you want to do comparative religion or teach them about religion, the history of all religions from a secular perspective, I'm okay with that. But teaching them that one religion is correct, or just teaching them any form of religious propaganda, that should be banned, okay? That should be banned. And I would go even as far as saying that parents, it should be legal for parents to teach their children religious propaganda. So I think you should target the children. That's my methodology. So him saying that religious schools should be banned, I would even go farther, because I don't want to just go defensive. I think you should go offensive, okay? So not only you make it illegal for any school to teach children religious propaganda, the state could fund teachings that makes children more secular. So any teaching critical thinking skills, teaching kids about the history of all religions. If you teach children about the history of all religions, they're more likely to believe that, well, none of them is correct, right? And also teaching them about the value of liberal rights, like the value of secularism, the value of freedom of speech, all these values that made Europe great. Teaching children in school about that. So not only you should stop them from learning about or being lied to about Islam being the right religion or any crap like that, you should also teach them values and skills and the tools that makes them question all of these ideas.
In 2009, he was even banned from coming to the UK because his opinions threatened community harmony.
So see, look at that. The UK banned them. Like, look at this is what violating free speech laws does, right? So UK can ban people for bad ideas, right? So this is what happens if you get the state, the authority. So because you don't know, right now you're right leaning, tomorrow you could be left leaning. Imagine that. Imagine you gave the state, or like, oh, the state has the power to ban Islam, okay? To ban books. Right? And now you're, we like that now because our state is now right-leaning and they're banning the Quran. Well, now you have set the precedent that the state is able to do that. Now, what if the state goes left-leaning? Oh, now they're going to come ban your ideas. How about that? How do you like that? You already have it in the laws that they can do that. You already remove it from the constitution. Now the state is left-leaning and you just gave them the permission to ban books or to close buildings that they don't like. They could come on social media and remove your accounts, or like mandate, make it force Facebook and Twitter and everybody, make it the law in the country that these are the things that should not be said and these accounts should be banned. And you gave them a key. You gave them the key.
And public safety. However, he needs to form a coalition to take power, so he might have to tone that down if he wants to do.
So he did tone that down, right? You know, so he himself, Geert, he toned it down. So he just focused, now that he is forming a coalition, he stopped saying banning the Quran. He stopped saying closing down the mosque. He stopped saying we should leave the EU. Now he wants to work with the EU. I'm happy to see a lot more right-leaning people are warming up to working with the EU. Not that the EU is becoming more right-leaning. Now they're starting to believe in international organization. Geert himself is now moving away from that narrative that they want to leave EU. And he's now just the only part of all of the promises that he made that he's now staying on is the one that is actually reasonable and is possible to do, which is stopping immigration from Islamic countries.
A deal. A left-wing Labour and Green alliance came second.
Guys, again, people say ban the Quran. Again, if you want to fight Islam, don't ban the Quran and make people read the Quran.